Hi, and welcome to Conscious Awareness TV. Today is December 5th, 2013, and we have Jeanie Lemaire back with us for the whole month of December. Yay! And she's going to be talking to us today about cleaning out your internal and external closets. And I'm saying it like literally cleaning out your internal and external closets. I want to say one thing though. Jeanie and I have been talking about gratitude. We've talked about a lot of things, and so what I really want to say is to the audience and everybody that's viewing, and family and friends and just the whole, I guess, all humanity, is there's really thank you so much for showing up here in the world and wanting to participate. Thank you for watching this show. We really do greatly appreciate it, because our mission really is to raise the consciousness and open the hearts of humanity, one person at a time. So we really do appreciate that. And then also too, we wanted to let you know that if you have any questions, please write in the questions. You can go into justin.tv/conscious TV and write in your questions. You will have to create a login. And if we don't get to your questions, you can send them to admin@consciousawareness.tv.com, and that way we'll be sure to answer all the questions next week, because there's going to be a lot of information, and this can, really be extended past an hour. So please do write in, because it really is helpful to getting clarity for the audience and the viewers and just everyone that's listening, and for us it just really helps to bring the conversation. So with that, I'd like to welcome Jeanie to the show.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks so much for being back.
Well, thank you so much.
No, it's great to have you back.
Well,
so this whole internal external closet, it's interesting, because you said you had cleaned out your closet, and I actually had cleaned out my closet too. I think it was the same day or the day after. I just thought, I'm going to go through my closet and start cleaning. And there really is a lot to say. And I know for the viewers and listeners that don't know, you may have, if you've listened to the other shows, I have mentioned that I have been working with Jeanie and cleaning out my internal closet. And I'm telling you, there's no words that can even say. It's a very experiential thing, but all I can say that there's a freedom to that, a huge freedom and a shift in my own consciousness, my own being, and it's fun, it's exciting, it's just, there's just so much to say about that. So really taking this and cleaning out your internal closet and external closet,
Well, thank you. On my part, I want to say that this is my third visit, and thank you so much.
Yes.
And I love cliches because they're so true, and third time the charm. So for those of you who happen to have seen the other shows and you're thinking, still, what does she do and how does she do it, and why would I want to do it, is still going to be a question. So that's why today's topic, hopefully, is a little more concrete. I haven't intended to speak in such broad terms, but I realize now when people come to me as a healer and say, oh gosh, I'd like to do some work around my relationship, they don't realize for me, I'm going to do work around their whole life, because everything's connected.
So it's just not one area.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not just the relationship. It is on the job. It is everything and stuff. So I used to, years ago, 30 years ago, as a matter of fact, I used to do a whole massage as well as this work. So people were just dumbfounded, overloaded, awed, and certainly couldn't figure out, as Linda was saying, what to say. So hopefully I've now, as I've gotten closer to the earth plane, I've got it down to, a 5-time program. It's not like an everyday program because it's so intense, but but actually that's where the internal and external closet came from. I'm getting a little more to the earthboundness of it, putting it hopefully in a package that makes a little more sense, because I've had many people say, well, so why would I come back to see you again? Because they cleaned out so much, they were so, odd, not realizing it's not just cleaning out. We want to replenish. We want to be in our joy. We want to be in our energy. We want to be in our excitement and stuff. So anyway, that's where all this internal, external closet comes from. But it is a 5-step program, so I'll start with step number 1.
Yes.
And we'll see what we can think on that.
Yes.
I'll speak to our external closets. Now, this may not be true for everyone, but many of us, we have clothes in our closet that just don't fit. They don't fit maybe because we put on some weight. They don't fit because we've lost some weight. They don't fit because maybe they were more of a fad and they just don't fit the times, or maybe we have grown, or we gotten more mature, who knows what.
I'll have to say, I'd like to try and keep mine. I do.
There you go.
You know, it's
there
like, I don't want to depart with that. I want to keep that.
See, there it is, because it's a memory.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons we keep some of these things, even though they don't fit, is because we have the memory. So I have a suggestion, if that is true for you, if you look through your closet, because I do have a very dear friend, and she can tell me her whole life via the clothes.
Wow.
I mean, literally. Now, those are what I call, what does T.J. Maxx call them? Fashionatas? People
Fashionista.
Fashionista, yes. Those people that are into fashion. But
yes.
literally, you could see her whole life. So when we went to clean that closet, so much came up about her life because the clothes reflected it. But if you have such an item that's special to you, you know, first date, all that, take a picture of it. Okay, you don't have to post it on Facebook, but take a picture of it and keep it so you can see it. That's what you really want to do. Is that what a picture is worth a thousand words?
Yeah.
So that picture will remind you, and that's a little easier to, you can even have in just one notebook or on your computer just for clothes pictures, you know. So, you know, I have different segments. But
yes.
For whatever it is, when people first come to me, I do place them on a massage table, because then they don't have to hold themselves up. They don't have to be sitting up. They don't have to be thinking about their physicality. Fully dressed, but still under sheets and blankets, comfy. But what we're after are things that people know distress them or have distressed them. And so, not surprising, we'll quite likely visit childhood or past life, or things that we know were tough at the time, and we don't realize we're still housing it. Now, we may have mentally moved on, but our physicality doesn't release things until all three systems do it at the same time. So that means emoting, talking, and physically allowing the vibration out of whatever it is.
Can we go back really quick to when you referred to housing, just so the viewers and listeners have an idea what you mean by housing?
Okay, well, everything that goes on in your life is stored in your body. So the body houses everything. And the physical form doesn't pass judgment, so it's going to do its best to keep you energized and up and running until that day you say, oh gosh, I got a cold. Well, quite likely you've been feeling poorly for a little bit, but the body, with no judgment, will boot up with, you know, getting your adrenals going faster. That's where stress happens, because it's trying to boot up and give you new extra energy that you really don't have. So we're not as attuned to what our physicality is trying to tell us, because it doesn't pass it with, it doesn't say with a judgment. Our physical form, our emotions, you know, when I feel hurt, you know, when you said something and it hurt me, I have more judgment in all that. So just a different way of speaking.
Right.
But yeah, so housing these things, we're after items that, you know, have or did or are distressing you. So as she says, we do it experientially, meaning I have found if all three systems, physical, mental, emotional, don't come at the same time, we can put the item back in our memory bank, in our house, in our feelings. So that's the tough part, because I know a lot of people who have done a lot of great work on inner child, on self-worth, and all these things, and yet something will happen and we feel like we're right back where we started.
Yes.
We're not. But we have that feeling.
Right.
So because all three systems don't always get the chance to fully release at the same time. So that's really the first step. And like I said, you go in your closet and these are the things you know they just don't fit. It's like no matter, you know, like you can't get your body into them, or you just can't get yourself emotionally behind them, you know, and or just mentally you're like, oh gosh, but it's such a nice piece of clothing, and you know, and they're just not easy to let go of. But we don't realize while it sits in the closet, it takes up space. And that space, just like in our bodies, if we have an upset that's not gone, it takes up space. And that space, you know, requires a little extra rest, or requires a little extra food, or requires a little extra thinking.
Right.
So when we want to think about being in the now, be present now, we want to release as many things that are no longer pertinent to now. But
well, and it's interesting too, because you can see, I mean, what comes to me is that when there is your closet is full of things that you can't, it almost feels like I get this sensation of like you're feeling stuck, like you can't,
and
cramped. So literally, you can take that analogy of your clothes not being able to get in, or feeling cramped, or you know, tight, that you can't get into this. So I mean, it's just fascinating to me how there's this correlation really between the clothes that we can't fit into that we're trying to. So it's like we're trying to move forward in our life, we're trying to do this, but we really can't because this is really holding us back.
Or we're trying to stay away we used to be.
Right.
That's the other way. But
Yes.
sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes we're trying to just, because we were happy last week, we're just trying to reproduce it over these items.
Right, interesting. Yeah, and that they always say that you cannot reproduce, like a painter cannot paint the same painting twice. You can't walk into the river. You just, there's just no way to reproduce it. But, and two, I think, or I feel that, why would we want to reproduce that? I mean,
Well,
when
because
you think,
it was a good feeling. It's not the desire to want to isn't so off base. It's just in spontaneity, you can have a similar moment that's even more fun.
right, that's what I was going to say. So if you realize that, wow, even that was a great moment, that the universe can provide so much more, that incident that you thought was really great, it can be so much more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we haven't always seen that. So often if your life has only one or two great moments, you're going to want to keep them around.
Right.
Same as with our clothes. So, none of this is good or bad. If people can keep whatever they want in their closet, but I think we're realizing that, these things get in our way, even of how we interact with people we like. A friend might say, how you doing? We go, fine. We're not fine. Everything about our look says not fine. But we're trying to, to boot up. And I'm thinking if we were actually safe enough to tell our truth, like, well, I'm sad today. I can't find my glasses. I'm sad. I may have lost them.
Yes, that's me. I'm very sad. Yes, but I even said I was, and I was like a little pouty too. So.
Of course,
yes,
because it matters to you. And it's important. So these are important matters. So when I speak of them releasing them or how they situate within us, this is no easy matter. We'd all have done it years ago. So.
Okay, so this brings up, so let's just take, even with my glasses, but let's refer it to the closet, right? So, because what comes to me as well is that if I'm so attached to these glasses, so we could be so attached to our clothes.
Yep.
So what would you say in that situation with my glasses or with somebody with the clothes, that they're so attached to that? You know what I mean? Because I'm trying to like detach myself from these glasses, and people are trying to detach themselves from these clothes.
So here's the thought to answer your question is, we're more oriented towards lack and a few options than a lot of options. So when I say you're attached to your clothes or you're attached to the glasses, then I want to say you want to go out and find other glasses that also have that same appeal to you. Not that we want to replace everything in our closet, but you want to add to, by adding more clothes you like, then the one on that one memory doesn't have the same attachment. So when you know that there's abundance, that we can bring more, well, not so much that, doesn't matter. I apologize, I have to have a little water. It's more a case of we have room to add in. We have room to add in a good experience with that clothes.
Yeah. Too, I noticed that when I do empty out my closet, it's like I try to fill it right away.
I know.
Not I don't try to, but it's like unconsciously somehow I'll be like, oh, I have an empty closet. So maybe I can add some more, you know what I mean?
But it's funny you should say that, because in truth, we are always full. People don't realize we're either full of joy or sorrow or a combination of the two. So that's why when I work with people and I'm assisting them to clear out their closet, they don't get to leave for the day until I rebalance them a little bit, not fully. So when someone says to me, oh gosh, Jeanie, you should do this and you should do this and stop doing that, I just say, oh, pretending, look down my clothes, sorry, no room, thank you so much. Because I'm full of knowing that I've done my best. I'm full of not out to get anybody. Right. So the fact that someone's distressed, I'm not happy with that, but I don't have to change myself because I was empty and I put in their point of view about me. So that's one of the things we don't realize. We're getting more interested in clearing and not realizing as soon as you're an empty vessel, well, gosh golly, who knows what'll show up.
Exactly. Who will fill that vessel? Yeah, exactly. Bring in the light.
So that's on the first one. And the second one is similar but not the same.
Now, will you tie in the internal as well when you're doing each step, or are you going to do that afterwards?
Yes, I'm going to do each one, external and internal on each one, because they go hand in hand.
Yes.
So the first, clothes that just don't fit. They don't fit doesn't mean you don't have them in your closet for a reason, or memory. But the next group are clothes that fit. They really do fit your size or even maybe fit the times, but you just don't wear. I mean, I have things in the closet where they're lovely. There's nothing wrong with them. I don't dislike them. It's not like I have a thought one way or the other. but I don't find myself pulling them out and wearing them. So now these are items that are stored in our subconscious and unconscious that we don't know are bothering us. So it's one thing, the first thing you're after the things you know that bothered you, or things you remember, or things that are going on. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that we don't realize is distressing us. And if someone asks us, we say, oh, that's no big deal. But somewhere it's a big deal because we don't wear those clothes. So that's our external clue to the internal. So a second meeting would also be on a table. Well, not all 5 are not on a table, but that's to relax you. It enables me to ask your physicality what's going on. As I say, it doesn't pass judgment, so I get a better answer,
yes.
or a more complete answer.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
And so people are surprised. I had one young lady once be totally into abandonment. We got talking about when she was a kid, this surprise birthday party that happened for her best friend. I mean, they were like really close. Well, when she came home, her mom was busy, this or that, was running off the store, and she said, well, can I go too? And we get in our heads, we're not hearing, and her mother just, oh no, you stay here, I'll just get the store and back. Well, it so distressed her, she felt so bad because she had no gift that night for the party. Her mother hadn't heard, so then by the time she got home and she told her what was up, and oh gosh, golly, and then it was a little too late.
Right.
Again, mother wasn't out to harm her, and she was doing her best to speak up, so it wasn't like she was letting it go by, but it had really hurt her heart.
Mm-hmm.
So, when we're able to clear that out, oh my gosh, I mean, those kind of things really boost and float our boats because we just don't even realize what they're saying to us.
Exactly.
It's kind of putting our cork down. See, if we're a buoyant cork, it's like unknowingly we've got this pressure on our cork, on our enthusiasm, on our joy, and we're not sure where it's coming from.
Right.
So those are clothes in the closet. Now, so you like clothes, so do you?
Well, I was going to say, so what if we have a lot of clothes, right? that we, because I haven't, been going out much lately, so I really want to keep them. I want to keep them. So because I do tend to plan on, going back out into the world and, having a good time. So what if you have a lot of stuff in your closet?
Well, you're a little different than some people. Because as I said, if somebody's into clothes, do you see what I mean? It's a representation of your life. That's a little different. So if you're keeping clothes because well, right now, you're helping your mom, she's elderly, you're not out in the world, whatever, but it's in your nature and you like to go out with friends, you don't want to get rid of things that that you'll wear in those occasions. So I do have things in my closet for like a wedding. I mean, I don't go to a wedding every day, but I have a couple things that I like to wear at a wedding.
Right.
So it's not like don't have clothes that don't fit a certain situation.
Right.
It's more a case of if you're going to go out and you always bypass that blouse. I mean, you wear everything else on the line, but that blouse never gets put into the sequence. You see there, it's hard to get. It's like you have to, as we're always talking, consciously look at your closet. You have to consciously say, Now I've noticed, and now sometimes, I don't know about you, but I'll rearrange my clothes thinking that'll do it. I'll put it to the front of the list. Nope. I'll bypass it, go to the next one.
Wow.
So, but because I do so much internal work, I know that alerts me to the external a lot to see if it's matching.
Right.
What we call that out here is words and actions matching, but it's really words, actions, and emotionality, which links everything matching.
Yeah.
But again, the emotionality part we don't see, so we're not always sure on those items in our closet that we're not wearing them.
Exactly.
We might say, oh, I'll wear that next time. How many of you said that to a piece of clothing? I'll wear that one next time.
Yeah.
Never happens.
Well, I try to take mine out of the closet and set it out, and so I'll know that, okay, if I, happen to, whatever I'm doing that following week, I'll put it out there, and so I'm pretty good about that.
Well, see, everyone, listen, this is something worth noting. Now, in many things, you'll see Linda and I we hold opposite ends of the stick.
Yes.
I am not a shopper, and I'm quite frankly, I will tell you, most of the clothes you will see will be classical, timeless clothes on me because I get my clothes from my friends. I have had things in my closet for 20 years because I wasn't yet ready for this time of my life. But now that I am, I want to wear them. Speaking of which, being in my Elvian mood last week, wearing a skirt that just kept, I didn't realize, I'm lucky this bone is long on me, because I guess when I looked at it, I was like, oh my gosh, what was that? Because when you stand up, it's not the same.
No, it's long, yeah, it's definitely.
So, whoops, and so I said, I probably had them in my closet for 15 years. Well, 15 years ago, it might have been more appropriate.
Right.
So, oops.
Yeah.
But still, that idea of if you've got a sense that there's a project or a venture to use them, but we just don't realize those ones we don't wear because they fit.
Right.
So.
Right.
Anyway, so I'm the other end of the stick. I'm grateful to everybody, and you all know who you are, who have offered me jewelry and clothing and things you've made, and oh my gosh, and I'm beyond awed, because I go in a store and I don't see any of this. Fortunately, there are people out here that do see. Like I said, with all that's out there, they see the perfect one to represent that person, put them in their best light.
Right.
So I'm very awed by you folks.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's fun, definitely.
But a lot of people don't think to come for that session because, hey, we cleared out the things you knew of.
So it's not really just a start. I mean, it's really a continuous.
Absolutely.
I mean,
it's a journey.
It's a journey. I was going to say, because we think that, we like to think that, okay, got this one done. No. I mean, because, I've been doing so much work, because we talked in the one show, and I'm telling you, last week, it was last week? No,
a couple weeks ago.
And it's just like, it's like literally you peel away this onion. But I'll tell you, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's like, there's the rainbow and there's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There really is.
You're after it. Exactly.
Yes, I'm after that pot of gold. It's the light.
Exactly.
It's, getting to that place. So amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so amazing.
So those two are, I'll say, impactful because we're not used to the physical, mental, and emotional releasing at the same time. But what I can say is, certainly don't ask me to paint your house or fix a toilet, but when it comes to supporting your magnificence, somehow that really holds true for me.
Yeah.
So I'm able to hold you in the process. So at no point do you feel like you're falling off the edge of your cliff of your life or what's going on. And as I say, it's always about rebalancing us so we can go back out in the world. I mean, we have guards for a reason.
Yes.
Because some situations out here aren't, all user-friendly.
Yes,
yes. So I wouldn't want to keep that from anybody. But those two, they go hand in hand. And sometimes it requires a third one. I mean, we run into more things than we realize. That's all right. I'm trying to give you the general scenario here. Right. So it's not like I do this, and then I'm done. These are the stages. So as you're listening, maybe you're thinking, what stage am I in?
Right.
Because like Linda, if you've done a lot of work, well, stage 1, done that. Stage 2, done that. So moving on to stage 3,
yes.
I have to laugh because many of you probably know that show, What Not to Wear. It just finished 10 seasons and just completed itself. Yeah. But I would watch it a few times because I found it very fascinating as they started out in stage 3. So part 3 is where they start, and you got to see on the show how that's a little discombobulating because part 3, what they would do is just simply come in and take your clothes out. So whether you thought you wanted to or what you thought fit or didn't fit or whatever just was gone. Oh. And then in 2 days you had to replenish it. So they were on a fast track, but you could see why there was emotionality because our life was being, I won't say forcibly changed, but in a way going a little faster than we might be ready for. So I just want you to know I don't go that fast. If you're interested at a certain stage, fine. But it's not about, for me, to have you get someplace you're not ready to go.
Do you have people where they start to, they're letting go of that and then all of a sudden they're just like, okay, I can't do this?
Well, how it would show up is, I don't see them for a while. And we're absolutely connected. It's not like, oh, why hasn't Mary called? Right. It's because I know they're processing. And during that time, because I jokingly say, once you meet me, it's hard to get rid of me, and it's very true. But what I'm saying is that people can call anytime. Sometimes, life entered in, they're on this journey, and then, like I said, there could be an accident in the family, things can happen. So, life unfortunately isn't a straight line. It's kind of a curvy, over the hill kind of road, and so is our journey. So we want to honor that.
Exactly.
So, but on the third point, which what not to wear is, they're assessing your closet. That's what they do. They get in and assess the closet. Now, their assessment, of course, and this is why you were volunteered by your friends, is that you need help. Okay? Well, a lot of us could fit on that show for sure. But But anyway, and mostly women, not all, but mostly women. So they just like took it all out. But what I would be doing then, once we've taken out clothes that don't fit and clothes you just don't wear, maybe a button's missing. You'd worn it, but you just didn't get around to putting the button on. Who knows?
Well, yeah.
So we now want to assess your closet. Now this is where news from the books come in handy. So if you've seen the show, I have 2 books, and normally I speak of the Body Talk as the first book, but when I do this work, I'm taking news from the second book first. So which means it can go in any order.
Right. Yeah.
So in the Magical Essence book, I'm going to now be conversing with you about these different essences, what I've noticed about you, what traits I see seem natural to you, and I don't say you're a this, you're a this, you're a this, you're this, and just believe me. Yeah. I'll ask you questions. So, you know, are you big on kindness? Do you have to give? Are you more interested in animals than you are people? I mean, these sound like odd questions, but to different essences, it's a given. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that you ask a question that they can say, yeah, you know, like, whoops, you know, I don't, my family think I don't love them, but, you know, my pet dog is, you know, is my queen bee. So
exactly.
There's reasons for this, because in life, it's important that some people have a passion to see that the planet is cared for. There are others of us that aren't as strong in that. And some people have a passion for animals. Some people have a passion for the homeless, or, you know, or just, you know, so many different aspects. And it's not like all these aspects are just this one and these aspects are this one, but there's a grouping of aspects that come together. So talking to them about their essence and also how they speak themselves. We don't realize some people speak through the mental doorway, much more of a linear list. Have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? We're going here, 5 minutes. That's great. I mean, that helps us, you know, get where we're going. And then some are like, hey, yeah, like I'll be there in a minute, I'm just going to get a bite to eat. And you have no idea when they're coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're both indicating their news, just doing it different ways. So I refer to the emotional base more horizontal, like goes in all directions, and the mental more linear. Mm-hmm. So when we marry, because we're not taught to be a whole person, one will be mental based, male or female, and one emotional. And it's like 2 ships passing in the night. So you meet and you fall in love, and then it's like, why doesn't he ever pick up his socks? Why doesn't she ever get someplace on time? Mm-hmm. It's because of the different way of speaking. There are different things that matter more to us.
I want to go back just really quick to the essences, which I thought was really interesting, because once you do find out, because sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, I feel kind of bad because I don't have any animals, and, you know, and I'm not, you know, maybe like the fairy essence, or, you know, things like that. So it's just really interesting. So it's comforting, I guess, what I want to say, to know that you don't have to feel bad. So it's, I don't know if any of the viewers or listeners are, you know, something's going through their mind, but that's what kind of occurred to me, is thinking that, okay, now I don't really feel so bad because I'm not a unicorn. Not that I don't love animals, but I don't have any personally myself.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to throw that out there, because I think it's really interesting, you know, how you can think that, why don't I have any pets, or why don't I do this, or why don't I do that?
Or why don't I like to dance? You know,
right.
My husband loves to dance, and I don't like to dance.
Exactly.
And it's not that you don't like dancing; it's just doesn't float your boat, so to speak. So, well, you have to know, anytime on the show, we'll be talking more and more about these essences, because even in the book, it's just a tip of the iceberg. Because the more you can know what's natural to you, then when people say, well, you should this or you could that, you'll say, wow, what a lovely thought. Yes. You know, I should and I could, and I'm not going to, so thank you. Because you know, out of, you know, certainly we're all totality, so we can all be everything. We can be up, we can be down, we can be angry, we can be enthused, but we're not going to have every life experience on this planet. That's why we have friends, that's why we have family, that's why I want to know about your trip to Italy, because I may not ever get to Italy, but I can sort of get there through your, you know, sharing about it. So that's how we share things. But on this essence, it's not an exacting science. It sounds very archetypal, but